So now let's study the significance of pentose phosphate pathway, that is PPP pathway. Okay. So first significance. So this PPP pathway occurs in the cells which are involved in steroid and fatty acid synthesis. Fatty acid synthesis. So the cells which are involved in steroid and fatty acid synthesis consists of more amount of reducing power. So that reducing power required by these cells is provided by NADPH, and this NADPH is synthesized during PPP pathway. So let's see some examples of cells in which this PPP pathway occurs, or in which steroid synthesis and fatty acid synthesis occurs. Examples are mammary cells, that is mammary glands, cells of mammary glands, ovaries, testis, and even in adipose cells, and even in fatty seeds and liver. So these are some examples of the cells in which this PPP pathway occurs, where the reducing power is required more and more for the synthesis of steroid and fatty acids, and that reducing power is provided in the form of NADPH, which is formed during PPP pathway inside these cells. Next significance. Okay, the intermediates which are produced, which are synthesized during this PPP pathway are used as precursors by the cell for the synthesis of other biomolecules required by the cell as per the need of the cell. So, the intermediates which are produced, which are synthesized, which are formed during this PPP pathway are used as precursors for the synthesis of other biomolecules inside the cell. For the synthesis of other biomolecules inside the cell. So, let's see some examples. What are the intermediates which are used as precursors for the synthesis of some other biomolecules inside the cell? For example, erythrose 4-phosphate. So this erythrose 4-phosphate is an intermediate which is formed during PPP pathway, and this erythrose 4-phosphate is used as precursor for the synthesis of auxins, lignin, phenols and phytoalexins. Okay, another example, that is ribose 5-phosphate. So this ribose 5-phosphate is the intermediate which is formed during the PPP pathway, and this ribose 5-phosphate is used as precursor for the synthesis of nucleic acids and ATP. Right. So this is one significance. Next significance. So this PPP pathway is also involved in protecting the cells from the oxidative damage caused by hydrogen peroxide. So PPP pathway protects cells from the oxidative damage caused by hydrogen peroxide. Damage caused by hydrogen peroxide. Okay, H2O2. Let's see how this PPP pathway is involved in protecting the cells from the oxidative damage caused by hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so inside the cells, there's H2O2. Hydrogen peroxide can cause the breakdown, that is oxidize. It can oxidize lipids, proteins and DNA. So due to the oxidation of these lipids and proteins, automatically cell membrane undergoes breakdown. So cell membrane has got damaged. So, and inside the cells, so this is how hydrogen peroxide causes oxidative damage inside the cell. But inside the cells, there is an enzyme called glutathione peroxidase. Glutathione peroxidase enzyme peroxidase enzyme. This enzyme is involved in causing the breakdown of this hydrogen peroxide into water. So when it causes the breakdown of this hydrogen peroxide into water, the oxidative damage caused by this hydrogen peroxide inside the cell will be decreased. Now let's see how this glutathione can cause the breakdown of this hydrogen peroxide into water. So actually this glutathione exists in two forms. Glutathione peroxidase enzyme exists in two forms, that is two states, that is reduced state and oxidized state. Reduced and oxidized state. So in its reduced state only it can convert hydrogen peroxide into water, because for the conversion of hydrogen peroxide into water it requires protons. So in reduced state only it consists of protons, which can donate those protons during the conversion of hydrogen peroxide into water. So after conversion of hydrogen peroxide into water, this glutathione peroxidase enzyme will be converted into its oxidized state. And here the question is, how this oxidized state of glutathione peroxidase can be converted back into reduced state, which is required, where it is required for the conversion, for the breakdown of hydrogen peroxide into water. So how it can be converted back into reduced state means NADPH. So the NADPH provides that reducing power to this oxidized state of glutathione peroxidase enzyme, so that its oxidized state can be converted back into reduced state. And where from this NADPH is coming? It is coming from PPP pathway. So now what can we say? PPP pathway occurs inside the cell, due to which NADPH is synthesized inside the cell. This NADPH helps in maintaining this glutathione peroxidase enzyme under reduced state, which is involved in breakdown of hydrogen peroxide into water, so that oxidative damage caused by hydrogen peroxide inside the cell can be reduced. So this is the way how this enzyme is involved in protecting the cell from oxidative damage, and how this pathway is involved. Pentose phosphate pathway is involved in protecting the cell from the oxidative damage. So this is all about the significance of pentose phosphate pathway. Hope you understood this concept well. Thank you so much.